So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Before I call this meeting to order, I would like to remind everyone to please turn off their cell phones or put it on silent or vibrate. If not, it could get expensive. We will all have a table reserved at Mr. C's, so it'll be expensive for you guys. Before I call this meeting to order, I would like to observe a moment of silence for Deputy Guillermo Vasquez, who passed away suddenly at 30 years of age, and want to send our deepest condolences to his mother and his brother on the passing. So please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. At this time, I will go ahead and call this meeting to order. And Jeff, would you lead us in the pledge, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Jeff. Next item is the adoption of the agenda. Madam Manager, everything in order?
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Morning. Chair will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as posted and allow Chair to deviate as necessary.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Item C, call to the public. Anyone on the Zoom call wishing to address the board at this time? See none, we'll go here. Jeff, morning.
Come on, Jeff.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Just give you a quick update on our COVIDs for the Santa Cruz County. Start with the vaccinations and our testing site. We are changing some hours for our testing. Our testing will be conducted now on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, same time frame from 9 o'clock till noon, and then from 1 to 4. Testing has come way down as far as the demand. Our vaccination clinic is going to start running from Tuesday through Friday from 10 o'clock to 7 o'clock in the evening to try to get some of those late evening hours to help some of the businesses. As far as our numbers go, as you've seen, some of our numbers were high during this Omicron surge. We had a high of 402. As of yesterday, we had a caseload of 2. So, I mean, we were expecting a decrease slowly, but it kind of dropped off the cliff. So we're hoping that stays that way, and we hope that maybe we may see a little bit of an increase with the BA2 variant of the Omicron, but right now it's less chance of hospitalizations and serious illness with that one. That's what they're saying right now. So that's where we stand at this point.
Great. Thanks for the update, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
Anyone else under a call to the public? See no one rushing up to the podium, we will go on to current events. Vice Chairman Brecker.
Thank you very much, Chairman Reese. Want to thank the efforts of Mary Moran and her husband Steve and the Cowboy Church in Sonoyta. They've been doing bi-monthly produce distributions out there. They've been doing that with the help of the Nogales Food Bank, which is an affiliate of the Southern Arizona Community Food Bank, and that's just been they've continued that since the very beginning of the pandemic when we were going out there every week. So thank you very much to them. Also want to recognize ADOT has done a lot of work on exit 34, cleaning up the vegetation. There was an accident out there earlier in the year. We talked to them about sight lines and speeding and all this other fun stuff. They just went out and just improved the line of sight at the intersection, so I want to thank them for doing that. Chairman Reese, that's...
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. Supervisor Maleta.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Good morning.
I had the honor and privilege of attending the NACO conference along with our chairman, Jennifer and Jesus. We had a great treat. The the first day we were there, we got an email saying our main guest speaker was going to be President Biden. So President Biden addressed our NACO conference, which was awesome. We also had Pete Buttigieg address us. Had the honor of a Zoom meeting with Ann Kirkpatrick in her office, and I thank her for meeting with us so she could listen to our concerns here in Santa Cruz County. And Luis Heredia, who works for Mark Kelly, set up a in-person meeting with Senator Mark Kelly. So Supervisor Reese and myself got to sit with him for at least half an hour, which was really nice. We also sat alongside with our compadres from Yuma, Tony and Martin, and they listened to a lot of he listened to all our border concerns and our concerns with our next step on our infrastructure after SR 189 is done, move on to exit 12 and 17. Hopefully that's in the near future. I also attended the funeral mass of Guillermo Vasquez Jr. Supervisor Reese was there as well. I attended CSA, the CSA board meeting via Zoom last Friday as well. And I want to personally congratulate Jesse James Octavio Callejo for winning a state championship in wrestling. Congratulations, Rio Rico, and the coaching staff. Everyone should be really proud. And that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Supervisor Maleta.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I'm sorry, I forgot to add one thing.
go ahead, Mr.
If I
Vice Chairman.
could. Senator Sinema met with constituents out in Sonoyta. Her first meeting was with the wine consortium. They were talking about just federal laws dealing with distribution. She also met with the stakeholders from the produce industry, the cattle industry, myself, several other industries, just talking about what are the key things that are happening and where we needed help. When I got to speak, I was talking about the need for the drug strainer at the IOI, and the fact that we can't seem to get a federal agency to step up and say that they will build and maintain that. It's now that the IOI is getting slip-lined, we want to make sure that we do everything we can to protect that line. So, excuse me.
Not a problem, thank you, Vice Chairman. Yeah, it was a very productive trip, even though many of our members of Congress weren't there. I know the Senate was there. I thought they were trying to get the money appropriated to continue to keep the government open, but I know Supervisor Maleta and our Deputy County Manager, Mr. Valdez, took our white paper, our talking points to the other representatives on the House side, and when we met with Senator Kelly, we delivered that white paper to Senator Sinema's office. It was good to see the President there. One of the positive things that occurred there was that just about every federal agency had a representative there, so I know Jesus was able to meet with the Department of Transportation and talk on some of the issues that were here. We had EPA, USDA, many other federal agencies there to meet with the delegates or the people that were attending the legislative conference from NACO. And so it's always good that we have access, that you're able to meet some of the people that are making the decisions and get some contacts for that. So I also did attend virtually the CSA meeting, gave my NACO report, and also Supervisor Maleta said we, along with Jennifer St. John, attended the services for Deputy Vasquez. So that concludes my report. Madam Manager.
Good morning again. As Supervisor Reese and Supervisor Malera have mentioned, I was in DC as well for the NACO Legislative Conference, and in addition to the meetings that they've discussed, there were some great topics, sessions on the ARPA money, the broadband, and the road and infrastructure. I also attended virtually the CSA Board of Directors meeting, and that's all I have to report for the last 2 weeks.
Great, thank you, Jennifer. Department reports and activities, finance, cash investment, expenditure, revenue reports. Mauricio, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board.
Morning.
I have the cash and investment report, and I also have the general fund performance report as well. Cash and investment report, the general fund has an overall balance of $17,500,957 with an investment amount of just a little over $10 million. The road fund has an overall balance of $2,726,989 with an investment amount of $815,000. The flood control district has an overall balance of $1,324,872 with an investment amount of just a little bit over $1 million. The jail district has an overall balance of $2,598,911 with an investment amount of just a little bit over $1 million. Total for all funds, overall balance $42,039,423 with an investment amount of $14,934,000. For an estimated end of the month balance of $14,754,422. I also have the quarterly revenue performance report. I'd like to go over the real estate taxes collected as of December 31st. We're at $8,323,174. We're about 56% collected, which is par for what we had in the previous years. The auto tax collected to date, $960,083. Again, very similar to last year, we're on par with that. County half-cent sales tax revenue, we're in $1,109,625. Last year, we were a little bit higher due to the SR 189 project. Removing that, though, we are above collections from previous years. State share tax, we are at $2,161,432, which is in line to what we've been collecting in the past as well. Other reports that I have here, I can go over them. They're the expenditure reports for the general fund, which were in line also with the expenses. We're at 34% overall with the general fund, and all the other special funds that we have. We can go over that if you need any details on that as well.
Gentlemen, any further details on the financial report?
No, thank you very much.
Great, thank you, Mauricio. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. Okay, we're going to skip over item F. We'll do that at the end and probably after our study session. So at this time, we'll go into item 1, action items. 1, discussion possible action to approve the reappointment to serve in the Superior Court from July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023. Vanessa Cartwright as full-time judge pro tempore. Sheila, is it Dacan? What?
Dagacon.
As temporary part-time judge pro tempore. And Dee Dee Sumet as a volunteer judge pro tempore. Everything in order? Chair will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second?
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Item 2, discussion possible, authorization to create and fill a jail liaison position in Justice of the Peace for the Adult Drug Court and Veterans Treatment Court discretionary grant program previously approved on January 4th, 2022. Everything in order there? Good to go? Chair will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Item 3, discussion, possible action for authorization to fill A, 2 vacant deputy county attorney 5 positions, and B, animal care and control officer position, budgeted Chair will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second?
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Item 4, discussion possible action to approve contract number 1766 with AV Innovations, Inc. for a video refresh of courtroom number 4 in the amount of $33,470. Everything good to go? Chair will entertain a motion.
Move to approve?
Is there a second? Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Item 5, discussion possible action to approve contract with Circles of Peace to implement the Santa Cruz County Adult Drug Court Program funded by the U.S. Department of Justice effective January 1st, 2022 through September 30th, 2022. Everything in order there, Madam Manager?
Yes, sir, and just for clarification, Supervisor Barker had asked me how much money this was, so this first segment is $67,000.
And it's all grant funded.
Grant funded.
Yes, sir, it is all grant funded.
Great. Chair will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Item 6, discussion, possible action to approve agreement with Earn to Learn for the placement of a college access advisor at the CCREO Hub effective January 18th, 2022 through June 15th, 2022 in the amount of $1,875. Everything in order? Chair will entertain a motion.
Move to approve?
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Item 7, discussion possible action to approve proclamation declaring February 28th, 2022 through March 4th, 2022 as Read Across America Read on Santa Cruz County Week. Chair will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Now I'll second.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Item 8, discussion, possible action to authorize the county to exchange parcel number 103-06-028 and 103-06-182 for parcel number 103-02-002D with the city of Nogales. Everything in order there? We're good to go? Chair will entertain a motion.
Move to approve?
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Item 9, discussion possible action to make the settlement agreement with CenturyLink Sales Solution, Inc. for account number 89678187 and intergovernmental agreement with Santa Cruz Elementary School District number 28 executed on 2/1/2022 publicly available. County Attorney, is that good to release?
Yes, Your Honor, Your
Your
Honor. Sorry.
I just got promoted.
And you got a raise.
I don't know about a raise, but I got promoted.
It was just a technical issue that Ms. Hunley and I had to discuss among ourselves, and this will modify it.
Great. So Chair will entertain a motion then.
I'll move to approve.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right. You don't know you've created a monster here with me. Item 10, discussion, possible action to approve application to Fair Festival license for Sand Reckoner Vineyard in Elgin on 4/4/2022. Everything in order there, Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir, everything in order.
Move to approve.
And I'll
Is
second.
there a discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Item 11, discussion, possible action to approve application for special event license Boys and Girls Club of Santa Cruz County, Inc. on 4/29/22. Everything in order, Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir, everything in order.
Great. Chair will entertain a motion.
Move to approve?
Is there a second? Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Item 12, discussion. Possible action to approve bond for duplicate warrants. A, number 2099767 in the amount of $34 64 cents dated 7/6/21, payable to Nogales Paint. And warrant number 3245-208 in the amount of $1,302.09, dated 11/25/2021, payable to AEA Membership Department. Chair will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
And I'll second.
Discussion, hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Tax valuations A through H. Chair will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion, hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Item 14, monthly reports. Madam Clerk, are all reports in?
Yes, sir. All reports are in.
Great. Chair will entertain a motion then to accept the reports.
Move to approve.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Item 15, approval of minutes of 2:01:22. Everyone signed off on them, Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Everyone did.
Good. Chair will entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Item 16, demands. Supervisor Maleta.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve demands totaling $1,184,940.56, of which $474,832 with 25 cents are from the general fund.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. At this time, I will entertain a motion to recess our regular meeting and convene into the study session.
So move.
Do I hear a second?
Executive session?
No, study session. No, we're gonna do the study session first, then we're gonna go to executive session, because the last four items here are related either to the executive session or the study session.
Mr. Chairman, some of the people that are going to show up for the study session aren't here yet, so I'd ask you if you could reverse the order.
So who was gonna present, do you know?
On the study session?
Jesus is there. Who else was coming?
They're going to participate.
Aye.
Aye.
We are now convened into regular session. Let's go on to action item 17, discussion, possible action to approve response to Show Baseball, Inc. Notice of claim. Chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we send the responsive notice to the notice of claim prepared and advised by counsel.
Chair, discussion, hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Item 18, discussion, possible action to approve response to Modem Depot LLC notice of claim. Chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, again, I move that we send a response to the notice of claim prepared and advised by counsel.
Second.
Discussion, hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Item 19, discussion, possible action to approve possible response of notice of claim made on behalf of Kimberly Corsaro and Deneen L. Peterson. Chair will entertain a motion.
And Mr. Chairman, again, I move that we send a response to the notice of claim prepared by counsel and
Second.
Discussion, hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Study session.
Okay.
So at this time, Chair will entertain a motion to recess regular session and convene into study session.
So move.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 We are now convened into the study session, presentation on the Heritage Local, Regional, and State Park Funding, LRSP, and Land and Water Conservation Funding, LWCF grants for a park project, Public Works. Mr. Valdez, are you ready?
I am.
Go ahead.
The card must come up. So, Mr. Chair, in front of you here is the agenda for the study session. Just to give you a quick update, so there's two grants that we're eligible to apply for. And I'll go over some of the details. What I'm looking for from this study session is that I'm able to inform you guys of the projects that potentially we could use the grant money for, and ultimately get us some direction. So, Juan, can you please click the next one? So the application requirements, go back one more, please. So if we're gonna apply to any of the grants, what we need to have is, we needed to have design plans, cost estimate, public participation, and in some form own or have long-term lease or
Site
some
control.
sort of a easement, recreational easement. Those are some of the criterias that are needed for us to be able to apply for this grant. So the grant funding, so there's two of them that we're eligible with, and last year we met with the state director, and he came down there and we walked around, and I have the notes here that, later on, if there's any question, we could look at it. But what we did is we looked at the site, we looked at 4 sites that day, and they're all qualified for this grant. The first one is the Heritage Local, Regional, and State Park Funding. They use the acronym LRSP. And the grant will fund up to 50% of the project. Max funding is $500,000 per project. So if a project is 250,000, they will match up 50%, and that'd be 125,000. The other grant that we're eligible for is the Land and Water Conservation Funding. That's the LWCF. That's the acronym used. That's also will fund up to 50% of the project. There is a 5% admin fee. This would be more of the long term. It has more it has more requirements as it comes to going to for the grant, and it's a longer term. Well, the good news is though that they can match each other. Okay, so if a project's $1 million and we're successful in both, we could probably fund this for as minimal as 5% out of county money. Okay, so I give you a picture of what the grant is and the opportunity is and what the requirement is. I wanted to go over what our current status. Cultural Resources Survey has been performed for all the locations. And so far, we haven't had any significant finds as it comes to cultural resources, Indian burials, stuff like that. We have developed concept plans. In 2018, there was a study done by a U of A student that identified for pockets in neighborhood parks. What the study did, it did a survey and interviewed stakeholders, I think schools and just people around the community. I have the study here if anybody wants to see it, but it was positively received, and they're all looking forward to pocket parks and neighborhood parks. And then concepts were developed also with this study. And then the other public outreach that we've done is community development did a public meeting through the Rio Rico Vitality District. And one of the concepts was, we're calling it the Agua Fria concept, was presented, and you'll see some of the information, and it was, it was a positive. Okay, so let's go to the next one. I'm just gonna go briefly over it. I think you've seen it before. There's just concepts that if whichever concept is decided on, there's like one of the slides, we'll develop design, we'll develop cost estimates, and we'll go to the public and see what they think. So this is just a layout that shows soccer fields and baseball fields and tennis. And the dark stuff is or the darker squares are parking areas.
That's the parcel of land that we got from the city when they gave it to us. They had some of the conditions were that we had a soccer field and some other things on there. Is that piece of land?
That's correct, Mr. Chair.
the conditions, right?
Well, they were kind of very, but we accepted it anyway, so, and so, yeah, because we wanted to have recreational opportunities out there anyway, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Next slide.
This is a concept that was developed for the Tohono O'odham grant. We identified 2 fields just south of the baseball field and tennis court. The total cost was 600,000, a little bit over 600,000. And these concepts were developed in June of 2021. We weren't entirely successful. We did receive $75,000. We were asking for 400,000, and we were going to fund the rest. But the reason this concept is up there is because this is one of the locations we took the state director to.
Okay.
This is the Agua Fria concept that was presented in the Rio Rico Vitality District. And it's just like once again, it's just a concept. So this would be north of that subdivision, Bella Vista subdivision. And so. From the study, this is one of the concepts that was developed for pocket parks. Just to go over it briefly, it shows you half-court basketball, some play area, and some Ramada type of setting, some jungle gyms. This is a neighborhood park, would be a little bit more elaborate, so you see more of a full fields and more recreational area and Ramada types. This was in the Rio Rico Vitality District, this is the concept that was developed. So what we're showing in one of them is that there'd be recreational opportunities where the Agua Fria area, and you see by the marks, it was well received. So if we at this point, I welcome any questions we want to discuss. What the direction we want to go is, do we want to develop pocket parks, pocket/neighborhood park, or fields? And we don't have a guiding document that usually accompanies like a master plan or a CIP. So, and we have a great opportunity to actually receive $1 million for either a pocket park or field. So I'll leave it up to discussion. The pocket park right now that's being considered is the one on Paseo Mexico. Okay, and that's a great location because there's parking and it's at the end of our
At the walk.
trail, walking trail, so.
Well, gentlemen, this affects both your districts. I know I want to make sure that we get the most bang for our dollar. The more use, I don't know how a pocket park would be received or what the amount of use it would be. I think the concepts that you've presented are pretty nice. And everything that we do, of course, once we build, we will have to maintain, so we need to make sure that, we're on top of that and don't let them fall, because it's really hard to get them back restored to their original, the original way they were constructed. So I'll go ahead and open it up to you guys. You're the ones that, see how it is that we as a board want to move. So who wants to go first?
I'll go.
Okay, go ahead, Supervisor Maleta.
Mr. Chair, Jesus, thank you. Thank you for your presentation, and thank you for your due diligence. It's greatly appreciated. I'm personally really excited because this is a wonderful opportunity for our community to really explode in the sense where, we have travel teams in soccer, and baseball, basketball, all kinds of different activities going to Tucson, to Phoenix, all over the state on a weekly basis, spending dollars somewhere else. I think the Agua Fria project, number one, is centrally located, where our restaurants would really flourish, and it would be a great economic development engine for us here in our community. June, July, and August are extremely hot in Phoenix and Tucson, and it's a great opportunity for us to show off our wonderful temperatures that we have. Once the sun goes down here in our community, it's beautiful here. We don't have that 110-degree weather 24/7 the way Phoenix does. So we can pretty much have, if we organize this in a proper manner, we can have tournaments on a weekly basis all year round, which would bring money to our community, to our restaurants, to our hotels. It would bring people to our community that have never been here. And it's a wonderful opportunity. I think all our projects are great projects. But, this is a great opportunity for our community to really do something that we can build on and make a big impact on our economy here in Santa Cruz County. I'm excited. I'm excited because it's something that can happen. I personally see, and this is my point of view, the other two gentlemen may have a different point of view, but a central area where people can congregate, where we can have tournaments near restaurants, near the freeway, accessible, where people are going to want to come. It's a great opportunity. And then, once we build there, we can add to the other parks. We can add to Calabasas. We can add to Damon. I think it's a great starting point, and it's a great opportunity for our community. Mr. Chairman, that's what I have when it comes to parks.
Thank you, Supervisor Millett. Vice Chairman Brecker.
Actually, I have a question for Mr. Valdez. The cost for a pocket park, the cost for a soccer field, the cost for a baseball field, what are you estimating these costs at right now?
I could only go by, some of the interactions that I had with our consultants. I believe the pocket park concept would be somewhere in the neighborhood of $300,000 to $500,000.
And then a soccer field or a baseball field or softball field?
$600,000 per field.
And if I can add a little bit to this is, one of the things we'd like to see with this is a public-private partnership. The county won't be running these events, these tournaments. We will have someone that is real familiar with tournaments, with their particular field, with soccer, with baseball, whatever it may be, handling these, organizing these. And as far as funding, I think we've already shown that we can do great in the public-private partnership with the project we did in the Rio Rico area with the produces. I think we can do something in a greater scan where we can get a lot of these people that are involved in the travel involved with a private-public partnership.
Vice Chairman?
Thank you.
Sorry about that, Bruce.
Oh, it's okay, Rudy. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So in 2018, when I asked to have this study done on what parks are, because that was really the first step, and we reached out to the University of Arizona, they sent us the graduate student, and she talked to the school district, she did talk to community groups, she did a lot of outreach. And really, I had no idea what parks were and the different types of parks were. And so she helped us identify what a pocket park is and how many people in a small cluster that those things would serve, what a neighborhood park was, and that's a little bit larger group. And then you have these regional parks, which are considerably more expensive. Unfortunately, for the last 4 years, we have not had a funding stream to move forward with any of these projects. But in August, September of this year, we identified the fact that the state parks did have grant money available. And in fact, the city of Nogales, that's one of the funding streams that they're using to improve their park behind City Hall. We didn't find out about it from the city of Nogales, however. We found out about it after talking to a consultant who was working for state parks, that this money was available. And so we started moving forward with what is it exactly that the community needs. And I think we need to hear more from the community. We did this study in 2018. Pocket parks are important. I know that when I knock on doors during campaigns and when I'm talking to constituent groups, they're all asking for places for their neighborhood places for their kids to be able to play. Where's a place that a mom can take their kids to let off some steam that's not in their own backyard? So I think that's a pretty important thing. That's what I've heard in my community feedback. I know there's some people from the community, I've also heard from the community that there's a dire need for soccer fields in this community. That, even though the schools make their fields available after school hours and after their teams are done using them, there's still a considerable shortage for that kind of space in this community. And you want to talk about these things and you want to look at them, well, those are just parks. Those are quality of life issues. Those are things that normally cities would be providing for their constituents. But in our communities, we only have one city and one town. And it doesn't look like the constituents of their communities are looking to add another level of government over themselves, which then leaves the county with the responsibility of trying to provide these quality of life services, which also makes our community more attractive to housing, and then people could come and live here. So I think, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to hear from the public, if anybody else would like to chime in at this point.
And if you come up to the podium, please, and introduce or identify yourselves. Not all at once, so please.
Good morning, Board. My name is John Fanning. I live in North Pendleton off of Palo Parado. I've been either a teacher, educator in this area for over 30 years. Although my sons have participated at Damon Park, it's, to me, not centrally located, okay? It has its limitations, in my opinion. I would say the same thing for Calabasas Park. I've been, like I said, in this community for quite a long time, and I think I can count on one hand how many times I've ever been at Calabasas Park. So I would like to push for the Agua Fria area. I think it's central. I think, as soon as we started talking about this, the first thing that come to mind is location, location, location. And I think getting the most bang for our buck is probably looking at the Agua Fria. Couple questions that I have. I heard, tennis courts. Something that is incredibly big, and it's gaining steam, is pickleball. I think pickleball, you're going to have, to every one tennis court, you're going to want to have 4 pickleball courts. It's just,
Hey, watch it.
no, I'm not saying do away with tennis. I'm not saying do it away with tennis, but in fact, I did talk to pickleball folks, and there is a way to transform a tennis court very easily, under $1,000, $2,000 into pickleball courts. So that's one of the questions I have. The other question is lights. Is all of this, are all these fields are going to be lighted? Because like we've said, yes, Arizona gets hot. Rio Rico gets significantly less hot than Tucson and Phoenix, but it's still warm during the day. And I'm looking at, night as far as play goes. And lastly, the last point I'd like to make is I 100% agree that soccer fields and baseball fields / softball fields is the direction to go. That's just my personal opinion. I'm a firm believer in bringing teams from all over the state to beautiful Rio Rico, Santa Cruz County, and I think that's a great way to build more tourism and bring people into our community. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Anyone else? Please.
Hello, my name is Brian Hernandez, and I'm the president of the Youth Soccer League here in Nogales, Arizona, and I'm also the president for the Adult Soccer League. We wanted to share our concerns regarding the fields. We're having a big problem getting fields for our kids to practice. That's one of the main concerns. We don't have any lighted fields. Our organization, it's a nonprofit, and every coach in it's volunteer. So they make time after work to be able to train the kids. And most of them, it's after 5 o'clock, and we need lights for them to practice. The only lighted field available for us is Fletcher's, the Ron Turley, and they close it every year for maintenance for 3 to 4 months. And also we have other organizations like clubs, traveling teams, they're using the field, and it's very limited for us. We're about to start next month our spring season, and we don't have fields. I mean, we have, like I said, limited time and hours. And we've been also, we started using about 6 months ago, Damon Park baseball fields, but they're not soccer fields. So people from that do baseball, they want to use the fields as well, and we've been using their fields. And it's not the same. The grass is not the same. And one of the fields, it's in very bad shape already because we have a lot of kids. It's growing. Our organization is growing, and that's one of our main concerns. And I do have a question for you guys. It's regarding Damon Park. I know the initial project was to have two baseball fields and 2 soccer fields. So my question is, why did they build 2 baseball fields and not any soccer fields? That's one of my questions. And regarding the projects presented today, I think the Agua Fria, it's a good project, but right now, since we're in the really need of fields, I think if you guys add at least 1 field, like a Damon Park, that will help us a lot, because it's something that we need like as soon as possible. Thank you, that's it.
Anyone else? Please.
Good morning, Scott Vandervoot. I live in Nogales. I grew up in Tubac. My recommendation would be to prioritize soccer. This community, whether it be the county or the city, has prioritized baseball for literally generations. As a community, we export soccer. Soccer players have to go to Pima, Pinal, Maricopa counties to participate in tournaments, to participate just in leagues. Brian's done a great job of working on youth soccer. We've had AYSO here in the past. AYSO is a 3-month deal. A lot of the parents expressed concern about wanting a longer season, and that's one of the reasons why he's been developing his leagues. The baseball community has been extremely successful at organizing tournaments, at bringing people from other parts of the state to Nogales. They've been successful at putting up competitive teams, top-level teams, and really well-run tournaments. In fact, Damon Park's used at times as a practice facility for those tournaments in the city. But what we don't have is soccer. In fact, soccer, you know, we can talk about what the city's responsible for and what the county's responsible for, but the fact of the matter is we're one community. And in fact, as a community, we've lost resources in terms of soccer. Fields have been shrunk. Lighting, there's one field that Brian mentioned, Turley, and it's not a full-size field. Children at 12 years of age begin to use a full-size soccer field. So don't think about it just for adults or maybe teenagers. And so when you're thinking about, you know, making sure that the youth of our community have good, healthy opportunities for recreation, remember that at 12 years old, they start using a full-size field. We've been using the fields at Damon because of the lighting for the younger kids. You can fit a smaller field on those outfield spaces. But we need soccer. We need resources for soccer. I think the option that makes the most sense at this point is expanding Damon. You have the land, you have the parking, you have the electrical, the plumbing. Is it the best location compared to another option such as Agua Fria? Perhaps not. But in the immediate term, because this is an immediate need, I think it makes the most sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Well,
Mr. Chairman,
yeah, go
I
ahead.
think that when we're talking about planting these fields, we need to talk about what the development of the frontage road is going to be. So, you know, ADOT right now is talking about, and a lot of the private industry is talking about expansion of the Ruby Road interchange. And there's been a lot of focus on the east frontage road, but ADOT is also talking about pushing the west frontage road all the way through. So when you start looking at what's happening on the west side of the freeway, you have the school district that just invested over $20 million on fields on the northern part of the west frontage road. You have Damon Park that has his property that we already own. ADOT fairly soon is going to be pushing the frontage road all the way through, which is going to greatly increase access to that park. So it's not going to be that twisty, turny drive that we all use right now. So I think that's something that we need to consider. I appreciate the constituents that came in today to talk to us about what's going on with parks. I think that there's a lot of development right now on the west side of the freeway as far as fields go. I think that we need to take this, I think we already need to get this application in for this money. It's first come, first served. We've known about it since September. And I think that what we need to do is we need to build a soccer field in Calabasas, which already has all the infrastructure. It's land that we control. And we also need to build a field at Damon, which again has all the infrastructure and it's land that we control. It's something that we can move on very, very quickly. And I think expediency right now is the name of the game for this investment. Moving forward, if we're going to, you know, there's a lot of developments that we need to look at. Agua Fria Canyon for this type of a project is a good project. But there's also pocket parks that we need to move forward on. There's also some neighborhood parks that we need to move forward on. And I think that, you know, we just need to keep looking for the funding to get this stuff done. I think that this money that's available right now is from COVID recovery funds that the state parks has. So that's what I have to say.
Well, look, I think at the end of the day, there's no question in my mind. There are a lot of needs in this community. And the good thing about what was presented here today is there's opportunities for certain amount of funding, and still we may or may not have to come up with some funding. I know that the need for soccer fields are great. I know that we have some baseball fields, but it would be great to have an equal amount of opportunities for our kids, whether they want to play baseball or they want to play soccer. The other thing too is, of course, it costs money to put lights in there. One thing that I'd like to see, and maybe there's a way to get some type of lighting that's solar, that during the day the battery gets charged up, and then you can use the lights at night. So it would be probably less of a cost, because you still need to hook up to the electrical grid at some place. But I think we have to be as prudent as we can to try to stretch our dollars to make sure that we're able to meet at least the immediate demands and continue to move forward. We need to really have we have a plan, but I think we need to expand on our plan to exactly what we want to do. I know Supervisor Maleta was talking about a private-public partnership, maybe to run the tournaments, to do some of the things. I don't know locally if there's, I don't know who we could try to work with to be able to do that. But, Jesus, thank you for presenting this. I think we should try to go, do we need to identify a project, or do we just go after the funds? Because I want to make sure that what we do right. I mean, I don't want to do a piecemeal and be here next year saying, well, whatever we decide to do, wherever we decide to at least initially begin, I think we should move forward with some of that. I do want to thank the people that spoke here today, because it's important. I wish we would have had more input, because especially the areas out there in Rio Rico. Scott, you're correct. I mean, we're one community. Unfortunately, sometimes, dealing with city politics is not easy, but we did have some exchanges of property today that I think will benefit both of us. But we need to make sure that, we have that plan in place so that we can move forward. So, anything else to add, Supervisor Maleta?
Yeah, Mr. Chair. Again, thank you, Jesus. I too want to thank the gentleman that came in and spoke. I do see the issue with soccer. I've seen it over the years. I've seen it at the city where baseball's number one, and they turn their eye the other way to soccer, unfortunately. And living along the border, it just, in general, soccer is just as important as any other sport in Santa Cruz County. And I agree with you. We do need facilities. We need them badly. I got a call from a baseball guy. Hey, our soccer guys are ruining Damon Park, blah, blah, blah. But we need to share. It's the only lights we have, unfortunately. Yeah. That's why I didn't say anything. I said, we just need to share. They don't have a place to go. It's really unfortunate. And I think if we work together as a community, our Rio Rico school district is putting together some amazing facilities with the bond they passed. And I think if we team up and do this project and do it the right way in a centrally located place and really focus all our attention there and then expand, I think that's going to be the key. And we do need at least 2 soccer fields, minimum. I agree with you, gentlemen. It's really important that all our needs are met, not just baseball or key popular sports. And they're all popular. They're all popular. And again, thank you. Thank you for your input. We really appreciate it. And you will be heard.
Anything else to add, Bruce?
Sure. I can't be a little bit remiss in leaving out the pickleball people.
No, I agree.
In Tubac, we have a really organized pickleball community. Early in probably 2017, we put a pad down and put some fencing up, and then this pickleball organization came in and they did all the other work. They painted the courts, they've maintained the courts, nets, scheduling, the whole deal. And the minute they knocked on my door, we finished that, they were knocking on my door saying, hey, we need more. There's more people who want to play. You know, again, we want to bring tournaments, we want to bring, and it's like, we need to do this in a, there needs to be some kind of equilibrium in what we're putting in the northern part of District 3, in the eastern part of District 3, in District 2, the northern part, the western part, the southern part. I mean, there isn't just one place where everybody goes to do this stuff, you know. And when we do these big projects, then again, we're neglecting the kids that want to get on their bicycles and drive down to a neighborhood park and play basketball on a half court. We're neglecting places where moms just want a small park where mom wants to be able to take her kids, or mom and dad, and just let them blow off some steam. These are all really, really important things. And this is the stuff that the 2018 study opened my eyes to. So, you know, when you're talking about what we have access to right now, if we were successful in both grant applications, is $1 million. When you look at what the school district just passed, was a grant application, was a bond for $22 million. So you already have a lot of infrastructure that's being built, you know, in one part of the community. So I'm not sure if you're going to get the direction that you want out of this meeting, Mr. Valdez. I think that you've heard a lot of really good comments. I want to thank the members of the public for coming out and talking to us. And I know that Supervisor Malera is advocating the best he can for District 2, as I am for the best I can for District 3. I think Calabasas is a really great park. I don't think it was built with the amenities that this community really needs. I mean, on the holidays, it's great. All the little sites are filled with little people doing their carne asadas and their cookouts, and then, you know, the volleyball fields, you know, the basketball court, this little sand place is doing really, really good. But the rest of the year, it's really not a park that's used very much, except the large Ramada that takes reservations for special events, which is why we went to the city in 2017, 2018, to get that piece of land next to it. We have infrastructure there. So you're not building all the bathrooms, you're not building all these other things that you need to do to support these parks. It's the same thing with Damon. All we're talking about is adding, we have $1 million. What can we get for this with, you know, whatever the county's gonna have to throw in? So you can probably get 2 soccer fields done. So let's get 2 soccer fields done with in the 2 parks that we own. And let's keep working on a regional facility that Supervisor Malera is talking about. And let's work on another facility where the community can gather, which is just really a large space. It's not necessarily fields, because you don't really want to have 4th of July gatherings on your soccer fields and on your baseball fields. But you need to have a place for this community to come together to feel as one. So we're not there financially right now, but I'm hoping with good stewardship that we see from this board that we will get there. So, Mr. Chairman.
Jennifer?
And I think that's what I wanted to talk about is the budget piece of it. So we do have an action item, you know, on the agenda once the study session's done. Jesus has mentioned that it's you know, they can match, these 2 grants can match each other. I think, however, going into the budget cycle, we have to pretend like they're not going to match each other, because there's a possibility that we wouldn't get one of the grants. Or, as Jesus mentioned, we put in for 400,000 for Damon and got 75,000. So depending on the direction of the board, Jesus and Mauricio and I would go back as well and try to pull those budget numbers into the upcoming budget. So that's another reason that not only is it first come, first serve on the grant side, but we also need to plug these potential numbers into our budget moving forward, because currently we don't have that kind of discretionary funds in our parks budget.
Can we look into the possibility of using some of the ARPA funds for this?
Yes, sir. Mauricio has done an update for where we stand with the ARPA funds, and I sent out a brief email to you all. But we do need to get a presentation before you all to see where you want to allocate the rest of the funds that are available to you. So that's definitely on Mauricio and I's list of something that the board is interested in.
Okay.
So when is the deadline for the submission for these grants? Is it-
Mr. Chair, as was mentioned before, it's a first come, first serve. It's, once the money dries up, there's no money available.
So there's money there right now, but there's no guarantee, even if we present, that we would get anything.
That's fair to say.
Now, the other thing too is when we look at neighborhood and pocket parks, I think one of the things we need to do is, with our development plans, is that the people that are developing those have those amenities available. And I know that a lot of people don't like homeowners associations, but I know where my daughter and her children live in Chandler, there's parks everywhere. In fact, some of them are retention detention basins that when it floods, the water grabs there, but they maintain the grass. They're big parks, and they're maintained by the homeowners association. They have the half-court neighborhood pocket park where people go in there, not necessarily a function of the city of Chandler, but some of them are funded by them. So, you know, it's if we have the baseball fields now, we need soccer fields. Do we build the soccer fields? Give those young people the opportunity as well. Do we build them where the infrastructure is already in place, or do we begin to break ground on a new concept that, while it's great, that's easy off and on, maybe from the freeway, you know, there's still a lot of work to be done, and how much will $1 million bring into it? I'm looking forward to seeing what you present from the ARPA funds, because if we're able to use some of that fund, it makes it easier to kind of put maybe a little bit more cash into it. But like you say, you applied for a $400,000 grant and got $75,000. That, even if we would do it in-house, we probably couldn't get those fields done for that amount of money. So, a lot of questions, folks. So, if there's no other public comment or anything else, I'll entertain a motion then to adjourn our study session and reconvene our regular session.
So moved.
Second discussion, hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are now convened into our regular session. Item 20, discussion, possible action to direct staff to apply for the Heritage Local and State Park Funding, LRSP, and the Land and Water Conservation Funding, LWCF grants for park project. So, gentlemen, what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move that we look at the Agua Fria project and move forward with that, please.
Okay. I'll go ahead and second it for discussion. So, Jesus, and this is under discussion. When you bring us, or when Mauricio brings us back the ARPA funds, can you see what funding we would have available to maybe create a couple of soccer fields at Damon and maybe one over at Calabasas. Look, I mean, we need to begin to move in a few directions. And either way, even if we'll apply for it, doesn't mean we're gonna get it. I hope we do. But we need to have a plan B in case it doesn't, so, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I can actually answer that question. Based on what we currently have allocated, we have right at 1.8 million that is unallocated
Okay,
out of our total $9 million
okay.
award.
So that could help us facilitate 2 soccer fields at Damon Park.
I don't want to tell you yes, I could run the numbers in my head quickly, but yeah.
No, I'm
Yes,
just
sir.
saying, it's, just kind of, so let's continue to look at that, and then we'll go from there. Let's apply for it, let's see where the chips fall. If it happens, it happens. If not, we still need to continue to move forward and find maybe other sources of grants or funds available to be able to do this. Unfortunately, outside of the city limits, we're it. And so any kind of investment you made, it's an investment that you have to continue to upkeep, because you can't let it go to shambles. And so, we need to make sure we plug all those numbers. So, is there any other discussion, questions?
Yes,
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Chairman, I
Yes.
strongly object to investing this state parks money into a grant that we do not have site control on. This is money that is going to be dispersed very quickly. We've been waiting. I brought this to the attention of the Public Works Department back in September. Been working patiently through this process. We have property that we have site control on. The state parks director, or the grant director, has already come down and seen these locations, has given us a tentative, these are okay places. And what we're talking about now is moving our competitive grant, which is a first come, first serve, to a location that we don't have site control on.
So who owns the property?
Mr. Chair, right now it's owned by a private developer, which is Mr. Andy Jackson.
We're in
We
the
have,
process of
we have
getting
2
an easement.
parks currently that are underutilized. We have site control on. And, if we want to risk losing the $1 million, then let's do what is being proposed by this grandiose central park idea in the middle of the west side of the freeway. There
So,
are already parks available versus,
so are we in negotiations with the owner of that land? Do you know, Jesus?
Mr. Chair, we have spoken with him, and, I'll let Jennifer
Okay.
give an update on that.
I don't have much more to add. We have spoken with Mr. Jackson. We gave our attorneys information to Mr. Jackson so that their attorney could speak as well. That has not happened yet. But I sent another email today requesting a meeting between Mr. Jackson, ourselves, and our attorneys. So I have not heard back from him yet.
Okay. So,
Mr. Chair,
go ahead.
I'd like to rescind my
Motion.
motion and put forth another motion.
Okay, and I'll withdraw my second. What's your new motion?
My motion is to add 2 soccer fields to Damon Park. And we already have money partial money for 1 tennis court. I'd like to see 2 tennis courts on there. And if so, also look into the possibility of another soccer field at Calabasas.
I'll second that motion. Any further discussion?
yes, Mr. Chairman, again, you are putting all the money into one district. We've come forward with a proposal, which was the initial proposal when this grant was first sought after, to build a soccer field at Damon Park and to build a soccer field at Calabasas Park. And then whatever money we can find extra, then you can start adding to these places. We have property, we have site control. It serves constituents from 2 different districts.
Well,
I'm not sure why we would want to throw everything into one.
It does not make sense to go here and there. You want to put something somewhere where it can be accessible. How are you going to have a tournament if you have people here and people there? If you have 2 fields together, it's much easier to have a tournament. Am I not right?
Okay, then let's talk about putting both fields at Calabasas, Supervisor Malera.
well, look, folks.
And now we're getting to a point where we're confrontational. There's more money, we're going to find more money to do what we need to do.
Look,
We need to get both projects started.
at the end of the day, we're looking, if we're successful, at getting $1 million. And $1 million doesn't buy what $1 million used to buy. I think, there's opportunities to look at the ARPA money for that, but I think, look, I have a district that has Keno Springs, and I know Keno Springs, I don't know what Mr. Dixon is going to do there, and eventually somebody's going to want to develop some type of recreational opportunities there. That's why I say when people begin to develop these areas, they need to put those amenities in when they're planning and not after the fact. It's like when they don't put a sidewalk. We get calls that, well, there's dangers that, our children are walking on the street and there's no sidewalk. Those are some of the things that we need to make sure. And so, I'm caught between a rock and a hard place, and I know that I think from at least in my estimation, I think what Supervisor Maleta suggests is we look at 2 at Damon and 1 at Calabasas. And that gives, I think, you one field, and isn't Calabasas District 3? And, we developed Damon Park a long time ago, and we were supposed to develop fields out there that we never did. That park is there. Even using your own words, it says the infrastructure is already there, the water's there, the light is there. Let's just go ahead and see that, and my commitment to you, Mr. Brecker, is we continue to find funds to build more opportunities at Calabasas. I don't think we're abandoning that. And like I said, I'm caught between a rock and a hard place because I have respect for both of you guys.
Mr. Chairman.
And so, we're going to stand up here and we can debate it all we want, and I don't think we'll come to any agreement, but I will let you have the last word, and then I will call for the vote.
It's incredibly frustrating when I identify money to build parks, and I'm willing to do stuff and work with the supervisor from District 2 to be treated in a way where I'm getting nothing for District 3. This is after a grant was written for a park in District 2 that was submitted, and it's just incredibly frustrating from my perspective.
Mr. Chairman?
Okay.
I don't think it's a matter of districts. I think it's a matter of taking care of what we need to take care of. Right now, soccer is a big issue, and I see it as accessibility. I'm not bringing in the district part. You even said it, the infrastructure's already there. Let's do it, okay? Damon Park, before I came in, I went to a ribbon cutting for a soccer field. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Chair. You had a ribbon cutting. Santa Cruz County had gotten funds, and it was right before our economy busted. And Santa Cruz County couldn't build it because those funds never became available, right?
I don't.
And I will say that it is incredibly frustrating, because when we talk about District 1 and District 2 and District 3, we're talking about the constituents that live in that district and the constituents that have easy access to a facility in their district. So we've had Calabasas Park, which is a really nice park, but it doesn't have the facilities that are needed for a lot of people to go to it. Unlike Damon Park that has two baseball fields, and now we'll have, preferably if I'm allowed to make a motion, we'll have a soccer field, and Calabasas will have a soccer field. And then we can start looking for additional money so we can add on to these things and build, and that's how you get things done. But if you want to go, I cannot support a motion. We do need the fields.
There's a motion? Can I
I
call for a
cannot
question?
support the motion.
And Mr. Chairman, can I please also ask that the motion be clarified as far as exactly what is being moved? Because some of the discussion that I'm hearing doesn't necessarily match the motion as was put forth, and we need to be very clear so that the proper
So
direction goes.
the original motion for the Agua Fria was withdrawn
Yes.
by Mr. Molera, and I withdrew my second. He restated a new motion that we get the funds to build 2 fields at Calabasas and one two at Damon and one in Calabasas, is that correct?
Prioritizing the 2 fields at Damon Park.
Okay, and if I may, as it was originally put forth, I believe there was also mention of tennis courts, which is why we need to clarify exactly what direction is being given. So may I suggest that Supervisor Molera restate the motion
Okay.
exactly as intended, so we're clear exactly what's being voted on.
Okay, so please, Supervisor Molera.
My motion is as follows. I move that we prioritize and build 2 soccer fields at Damon Park. And if fundings are available, we already have a tennis court, add a second tennis court, and down the road, make Calabasas another option for a soccer field. That is my motion.
That doesn't clarify it.
I'm not sure that legally that's sufficient for the direction that's being asked. The question is, for purposes of submitting, if the intent is to direct Public Works to submit a application for the grant, Public Works will need to know exactly what facilities
Okay.
at what parks.
I direct Public Works to set forth an application for 2 soccer fields at Damon Park.
So
Period.
the motion would be to direct Public Works to apply for the grants with the intent of 2 soccer fields at Damon Park.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll second that, and under discussion, Jesus, are you aware of any other opportunities that would be available for Calabasas Park?
Not at this moment, Mr. Chair, not at this moment, but I'll, if I have anything comes across, I will make you guys aware of that.
So the other thing too, Jennifer, I would ask you to look at our ARPA funds and see if we're able to take some of that money and perhaps budget to build 2 soccer fields out at Calabasas. And that way, you get 2, and we will begin to look for more money. I don't want this board to become dysfunctional. I don't want us to be adversarial. We've been a very good working board, and I don't want there to be hard feelings. So if we can find that, Jennifer, I would appreciate it, and you can bring it to, or as we begin to work on our budget, to begin to identify those funds. So the question has been called for. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Mr.
Any
Chairman,
opposed?
I'd like to explain my vote.
Go ahead, Mr.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to vote no on this. And the reason I'm going to vote no on this is because I believe that a soccer field should be built in both Damon Park and Calabasas Park, and then additional money, and that's what we should be going for the grant for. And then any additional money that we can find within our ARPA or whatever other funding streams that we can identify, then we should be building the second field at either Calabasas or Damon. And that is why I'm voting no. I believe that there is a definite need for these fields, but I feel that this vote has taken funding that I identified and has turned it over to District 2.
Well,
And District 2 has taken, this is the second bite of the apple for funding for for District 2 on a grant that I had no ability to control, but I was willing to support for Supervisor Malera, but I'm finding that Supervisor Malera is not willing to support me in delivering services to my constituents.
So, okay, Ed.
So my vote is no.
So motion carries 2-1. And so you can apply, identify that. And with that, I believe we've concluded the people's business. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
So here's, I'll second that. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Meeting stands adjourned.
Goodbye.